The Fomorians are a supernatural race in Irish mythology. They are often portrayed as hostile and monstrous beings who come from the sea or underground. Later, they were portrayed as giants and sea raiders. They are enemies of Ireland's first settlers and opponents of the Tuatha De Danann, the other supernatural race in Irish mythology. However, their relationship with the Tuatha is complex and some of their members intermarry and have children. The Fomorians have thus been likened to the Yona of Norse mythology. The Fomorians seem to have been gods who represent the harmful or destructive powers of nature, personifications of chaos, darkness, death, blight and drought. The Tuatha, in contrast, seem to represent the gods of growth and civilization. It has also been suggested that the Fomorians derive from an older group of gods who were displaced by a newer group. In Old and Middle Irish, the race is usually called the Fomoir or Fomoiri, plural or Fomas. The etymology of the name is debated. The first part is now generally agreed to be the Old Irish fo, meaning under, below, lower, beneath, nether, etc. The meaning of the second part is unclear. One suggestion is that it comes from the Old Irish mer meaning sea, and that the name thus means something like the undersea ones. This was the interpretation offered by some medieval Irish writers. Another suggestion is that it comes from more, great, big, and means something like the great underworld ones, the underworld giants or the nether giants. A third suggestion, which has more support among scholars, is that it comes from a hypothetical Old Irish term for a demon or phantom, found in the name of the Morrigan and cognate with the archaic English word mare, which survives in nightmare. The name would thus mean something like underworld demons or nether demons. Building on this, Marie-Louise Justet interprets the name as meaning inferior or latent demons, saying the Fomorians are like the powers of chaos, ever latent and hostile to cosmic order. Donald Schlegel suggested that the Fomorians were Carthaginians who established a trading post on Ireland's west coast. He suggests the name Fomoreage comes from the name of the Carthaginian god Pume combined with the Old Irish suffix rage, and thus means people of Pume. The genealogies from Rawlinson B 502 lists the full genealogy of the Fomorians going right back to the biblical Noah, who was 10th from Adam and Eve. Characteristics. They are sometimes said to have had the body of a man and the head of a goat, according to an 11th century text in Laban Uidera, the Book of the Dun Cow. Or to have had one eye, one arm and one leg, but some, for example Elatha, the father of Brez, were very beautiful. Brez himself carries the epithet the beautiful. Geoffrey Keating in his History of Ireland appearing in the 1630s claimed that the Fomorians had been a seafaring people descended from Noah's other son, Ham. The training of Cuchulainn. The Fomorians were still around at the time of Cuchulainn. In the medieval Irish tale entitled The Training of Cuchulainn, preserved as a copy by Richard Tipper in British Library, Egerton 106, it gives the following mention. Then they parted from each other, and Cuchulainn went and looked forth on the great sea. As he was there he beheld a great assembly on the strand nearest to him, to wit, 100 men and 100 women seated in the bosom of the haven and the shore, and among them a maiden shapely, dear and beautiful, the most distinguished damsel of the world's women, and they weeping and lamenting around the damsel. Cuchulainn came to the place and saluted them. What is this sorrow or the misery upon you? Says Cuchulainn. The damsel answered, and this she said, a royal tribute which the tribe of Fomorians carry out of this country every 7th year, namely, the firstborn of the king's children. And at this time it has come to me to go as that tribute, for to the king I am the dearest of his children. What number comes to lift that tribute? Asks Cuchulainn. 3 sons of Elatrom of the Fomorians, Chancers, and Dub, Mel and Dubros are their names. Not long had they been at those talks when they saw the well-manned, full great vessel approaching them over the furious waves of the sea. And when the damsel's people saw the ship coming, they all fled from her, and not a single person remained in her company save only Cuchulainn. And thus was that vessel, a single warrior, dark, gloomy, devilish, on the stern of that good ship. And he was laughing roughly, ill-fatedly, so that everyone saw his entrails and his bowels through the body of his gullet. What is that mirthfulness on the big man? Asks Cuchulainn, because, says the damsel, he deems it excellent that thou shouldst be an addition to his tribute in this year rather than in any other year. By my conscience, says Cuchulainn, it would not be right for him to brag thus regarding me if he knew what would come of it. Then the big man came ashore to them into the strand, and stretched forth his long, sinewy, hideous arm to seize Cuchulainn in the very front of his royal tribute. Straightway Cuchulainn raised his right hand, and bared his sword, and gave a blow to the big man and struck off his head, so that he was the first that fell by Cuchulainn after having completed his training. And thereafter the other 2 fell by him, and he left them thus, neck to neck. In later times, any settled pirates or seaborne raiders were labeled Fomorians, and the original meaning of the word was forgotten. This seems to be a tale of the Atlanteans before they came to shore. And is this the same tribute given to the Scythian tribes? Namely, children, we also have a link between the Emerald Tablets of Thoth and the ancient name of the Emerald Isle, which of course were once named the mythical islands, where the gods once lived. Please share, like, or subscribe for more ancient mystery.